shooting of a tow truck driver. And tonight we're learning more about the 25-year-old man who was killed. A second victim, a 21-year-old woman who we're told is the man's girlfriend, was shot in the leg, but she is expected to be okay. This is the Fox 29 News at 5. I'm Jason Martinez.
And I'm Sheba Russell. There are a lot of new details to share with you tonight. The shooting happening on the 2100 block of North Street in the Castor section of Philadelphia just before 8 last night. Police say the driver of the tow truck multiple times in the head and body. At this time, no one has been arrested. And Kelly, you discovered something disturbing today. Another employee of this same towing company was also killed recently. Two tow truck drivers who worked for the same company on 2 different days in less than a month.
So in this episode, we are back in Philly. I covered the Kata Scott case in Philly, which is still going on. But this time we're going to talk about a tow truck company. They had 3 employees, not 1, not 2, 3 employees. All 3 of them hit by bullets, unalived in the past, I believe, 3 months since November. And they're saying it could possibly be connected over a turf war with tow companies. I don't believe that one. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV, and I'm your host, Marcel, where we took a look at cases, unsolved mysteries, people who went missing, and some cases that, hey, just might need another perspective. Because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I did time, was locked up, and now I am talking to you guys because life has been great for me. And hey, I'm trying to do this to show people they can turn their lives around as well. Well, right now, what we are talking about is we're going to Philly, and we're not going to talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We're talking about a tow truck company, okay? Now, I covered Philly a couple times. The last time was with Kata Scott. Kata Scott was unalived by Keon King, who Keon King is in jail right now, still awaiting court dates. No updates on that right now. But we're going back to Philly and we're talking about this tow truck company. There's a tow truck company out there called 448 Towing. Let me make sure that is correct. But I believe it's 448 Towing. Yes, 448 Towing and Recovery. All right. And what's going on with them right now is they're in the news because they've had not just one, not just two, 3 different employees. 3 different employees, okay, have been gunned down while sitting in their work vehicle. First one was November. All right. He recently just passed away. I believe it was January 4th. 2 more people after that within, I believe, a few weeks ago. Okay. I'm going to read to you the exact details so you guys know.
25-year-old Aaron Whitfield was fatally shot inside his truck over the weekend. And tonight we're learning more about his co-worker, 20-year-old David Garcia Morales, also shot inside his tow truck 3 weeks earlier. And Kelly, tonight police say there was a 3rd homicide back in November that might be connected to all of this. The victim, also an employee of that same towing company.
Now, police are saying this is probably over a turf war. And the reason why they're saying this is because the tow truck companies pretty much, so this one tow truck company, from what I read, they only deal with towing cars when they've been involved in accidents. All right. So for you people that don't know, usually when a accident happens, you call the police come, right, and then they make an incident report. If your car can't drive off, you don't call your own tow company. The police will call a tow company and come pick your car up. Well, some places they have, it's like a revolving system. So let's say there's 4 different tow companies, right, that's on their list, and they'll call tow company 1 for this accident. Next accident goes to tow company 2. Next accident goes to tow company 3. Next accident 4, then it goes back to 1 again. So that is, I guess, how their system works, and that is what the police said is how it works. So the revolving system, far as I know on what they said. But right now, I guess they're fighting over turf. But I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I believe that. And we're gonna take a look at some of these videos and some things that I noticed, and I'm gonna point out why I don't believe this. Now, let me give you exactly what's going on, okay? So, November 2025. Now, I believe this was around November. It says late November, but I believe it was November 23rd this happens, right? November 23rd, Aaron Smith Slims, 26 years old. Okay, sorry, Aaron Smith Sims. Sorry, Sims, S-I-M-S. He was 26, identified as a spotter. So you're going to hear this word a lot during this video, a spotter. They're tow truck companies always have spotters. Some of these spotters are spot cars for repos, and they'll go through parking lots of Walmart, the mall, and they'll have like license plate scanners, scan a plate, and then if your car comes up for repo, then they call the tow truck company, and then the tow truck company come and tows your car. Their spotters, they're saying is for accidents. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they're saying. So it says he was a spotter for the company who would notify drivers of accidents. Okay, so he would notify tow truck drivers of accidents. Now, he was actually gunned down inside of his white truck in November while he was sitting in the truck, and he recently passed this January 4th. Next incident happened December 22nd, so right before Christmas. David Garcia Morales, who was 20 years old, a tow truck driver for 448 Towing and Recovery. Now, same thing happened with him, except he was driving, and I'm going to show you the video, okay? He was driving in his tow truck. All right, so on January 12th, another tow truck driver whose name was Whitefield, okay? Now, he was also sitting in his tow truck, but he was sitting in his tow truck with his girlfriend. Now, they do have video footage of the car coming by and hitting the truck up and taking off within seconds, all right? So we're going to take a look at that. Now, he was sitting in front of a smoke shop, and that's what happened to him, and he ended up passing away.
That's right. Tonight, police say they're now looking at 3 homicides that all involve tow truck operators or employees from the same company. They say it's too early to call this a turf war, but that is something they're actively investigating. We know that there is a history in the city when it comes to disputes about towing territory turning violent, despite the fact that there is a city ordinance in place to try to prevent that.
Now, what makes this sad, and I believe this, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, especially if you heard of the story, because this right here is not telling me. I believe Whitefield was friends with one of the other drivers. I think it was David, I'm not sure. And when David got hit, okay, Whitefield actually showed up to the scene to help him. A few weeks later, now Whitefield is the victim. Like, what's going on here? Now, like I said, police are saying that they're fighting over turf wars. I don't know.
Around 12:15 that day, he was shot several times while in a white tow truck on the 4200 block of Torresdale Avenue. Today, his mom told Fox 29 over the phone he had so much love for everyone and wanted to help people. She says Garcia Morales died at the hospital the day after Christmas, a hero. His organs went on to save 6 lives. She says the day her son was shot, his friend, 25-year-old Aaron Whitfield, pulled him from his truck to help him before police rushed him to the hospital, and that Whitfield also came to the hospital to see him. 3 weeks later, on Sunday night, Whitfield was fatally shot inside his tow truck near Bustleton and North Streets just before 8 p.m.
Well, when David got hit by a cheap Cherokee, okay? Blue cheap Cherokee. They have it on camera. Now, there's 2 things with this Cherokee that I've noticed that they said. They said the back window's busted and the sunroof is busted. You know what that tells me? Car was stolen. They stole the vehicle. I mean, when I got in trouble and I did my time, I started the biggest car ring in that state at that time. So, and we were taking them from dealerships. So we didn't have to bust windows, but I know pretty much a lot about car thefts and stealing cars, whatever, right? And when they said that, I knew right away the car stolen. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if the second car, the one that you're going to see that actually hit up the tow truck, that we're actually going to see that footage, if that car was stolen too. Usually when people do these things, they steal the cars and they do drive-bys, switch the plates, and they do drive-bys on them. That's usually how it works, okay? And the reason why they do that, of course, they don't get caught. Of course, eventually they probably do get caught. All it takes is catching one of them and they'll tell on the rest of them. But makes the police investigation a lot harder because now they got to see which cars are stolen in the area and all that type of nature and, type of thing. So it makes their job harder.
Video this afternoon that appears to show the moment someone fired a tow truck driver parked in Oxford Circle last night. In the video, you can see a gray Honda slowing down on Bustleton Avenue and then someone appearing to open fire with a gun. 25-year-old Aaron Whitfield was killed in the shooting. Several bullets also hit a nearby senior center.
Yeah, Fred, this is where it all happened last night. Philadelphia police say Whitfield and a woman were sitting in that truck parked outside of this smoke shop when a car pulled up on Bustleton Ave and started shooting. Bullets went flying in all directions.
Now, I'm going to show you guys some things that I saw, okay? Especially looking at these videos, okay? And not only that, some things that I peeped out that might be deeper than what the media is telling us. I think it's a little deeper than what the media is telling us, okay? For one, the owner of the tow truck company, I'm not going to say his name. Not yet, anyway. But I found the owner of the tow truck company, okay? Now, if this is the same man, this is a young man. We're talking about somebody that's in his 20s, if this is the same man, individual. He's only in his 20s. So I'm wondering if he hired, because if you notice the victims, 20 years old, I think, and 26, and I think the other one was 26 too. They're all around the same age. So I was like, damn, this guy's young for starting a tow truck company, right? Well, I looked into his background. I looked up relatives. I looked up charges. You're going to be shocked at some of these charges. You're going to be shocked. But wait, let's take a look at some of the stuff I saw in the video before we get to that. All right, so I'm going to take you guys back to this video right here, okay? And what happened to him. As you see, the car pulls up, right, to the side of him and starts firing. Well, how did they know that he was sitting there? Now, in reports, they do say that he normally sometimes will pull up here and wait for a call. So either somebody was watching the whole time and they know that he sits here, or or somebody told them, "Hey, we know where he sits at, and this is where you can get him." Let's watch this again.
Norham Bustleton killed when this Honda Accord pulled up at Norham Bustleton, Aaron Whitfield, and injuring his girlfriend.
It could be over terror.
So, like I said, somebody told them that he was sitting there, or they already scoped out and they knew he was sitting there. How did they know? If somebody told them they were sitting there, then who was it that told them?
Of David Garcia Morales, who was down in his tow truck in the middle of the 4200 block of Torresdale Avenue on December 22nd. And now police say the fatal shooting of Aaron Smith Sim on the...
All right, so let's rewind that back, okay? Let's go back. You guys are looking at this. He was driving literally in the middle of the street, okay? The middle of the street. He's driving. So somebody either had to come the opposite way, stop and fire, or they were behind him and pulled up and they fired.
The 4200 block of Torresdale Avenue.
Pause it again. As you see the yellow line. So behind him, pull up and fire. Now this is not at a stoplight either. It's not at a stoplight. I don't see a stoplight. I see a it looks like a cross street that's a one way. So he has no stop sign, so there was no reason for him to stop. So somebody literally pulled up on the side of him while he was driving and did this. So my guess is they were following him. Somebody followed him. They followed him and they knew exactly where to get him at. Here is another angle. Because I wanted to make sure that there was no cross street. So yeah, here's the one cross street, one way. Like I said, he has no stop sign. So somebody was following this man. Somebody followed him and then pulled up on the side, shot, kept going, drove off.
And now
So let's
police say
take a
the
look at
fatal
this one.
shooting of Aaron Smith Sim on the 2700 block of Hicks in late November may also be connected.
He was what we call spotters for tow trucks. So
All right, so let's go back. Let's go back and rewind that. Okay. Go back to the street of this one. All right. So they said he was a spotter. Okay. Usually, spotters, what they do is they drive around the neighborhood. Some spotters sometimes even look for cars to repossess. Now, I don't know if they repossess cars. Supposedly, when I was reading up on this tow company, they say they only take cars that's been in an accident. So I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly they only take cars that's in an accident. All right. So if that's the case, then this guy should not be out spotting for repossessed cars. Okay. He shouldn't be doing that. Let's see what the chief said or person speaking.
100 block of Hicks in late November may also be connected.
he was what we call spotters for tow trucks. So what happens is when there's an auto accident, they run out to the scene quickly. Then they are notified their tow truck buddies, and they'll get to the scene. Yes.
All right. So he says that he was just a spotter, you know, for the accident or for accidents. Trying to see which car this might be. But either way it goes, the guy's sitting, it looks like on the side of this road, right? In his vehicle. And somebody pulls up on him also and does the same thing. All three of these are connected by, of course, all three of them were sitting in their vehicles, in their work vehicle at that. All three of them sitting in the work vehicle at that. All three of them, somebody had to know where they were at. Now that somebody say something, that is the part right there.
Family members tell us this is 25-year-old Aaron Whitfield as he sat in a parked tow truck outside this store in Northeast Philadelphia.
My dad said there were 3 shot fires shot at the side window of the building, and there were holes on the windows.
Rachel May's parents were on the second floor inside their adult senior center just above the tow truck when stray bullets pierced the windows and walls.
There were like about 17 people inside the building. They were seniors. After dinner, they were also socializing inside, and there were
Hold on real
holes
quick.
on the windows.
Rachel May's parents were on the second floor inside their adult
Hold
senior
on.
center just above the tow truck.
Guys, when I look at these videos, I don't just slap these videos on here. I actually watched them and I just look for certain things. Well, while I was doing the background on the owner of the company, it'll show. So when you do background searches, right, it'll show your relatives, and then it'll show people you're possibly related to or could be friends with. And all of the guy's relatives pretty much had the same last name, um, same background, same ethnicity. The owner, I haven't seen a picture of him, but by looking at the names, I'm thinking he's African American. He's black. Okay. You can kind of tell. But out of all the people, there was one person in there. And I noticed it stood out to me. The one person had an Asian name. I can't even pronounce it. Couldn't even pronounce it. But I can tell you that the last name of that person was Chen, Chen. So I was looked at that. I was like, that's kind of odd that the very last person or the person that's, in his background, the last name is Chin. I was like, who's this person? So I clicked on it. And then that person ended up being related to the same individual or individuals, I should say, not the same, but individuals with this last name, Mei. I don't know if it's a connection. I can't tell you because I'm just noticing this. Just noticing this. But I thought that was odd that he was the only person, of that descent. And I click on him, and then his relatives have her last name. I don't know. Well, I'll let you guys decide that one. Let's continue. All right. So, like I said, I did some digging. Okay. Now, if this is the correct person, the person who owns the company, I should say, this person was charged with disposition of vehicle or vehicle part with an altered vehicle identification number, receiving stolen property. All right. All on the same day. Now, disposition of vehicle or vehicle part with altered vehicle identification number. That is the VIN number that goes onto the vehicle, right? Now, the reason why I bring that up is because when I was doing what I was doing, we were taking vehicles from car dealerships, and they were big car dealerships, and these car dealerships, they were in on it. Trust, they were in on it. Um, And we would take the car and we would take them, guess where? A tow company. It was a tow company we were taking these cars to. The tow company would pay us. Now, the tow company, what would happen is we would get a list of certain cars and where to get them from. We would get them and bring them to the tow company, and then the tow company would pay us. Each car had a different price. And then what the tow company was doing was they was taking these cars and they was chopping them up. For you guys don't know what that is, that's pretty much taking the VIN numbers off, replacing the VIN numbers with another VIN number, maybe selling parts out the cars. Some of the cars are getting shipped out the country, exported like to Africa, which is actually a big thing. Africa and South America, a lot of stolen cars get exported to Africa and Africa and South America. A lot of them do. And then down there, like for a car here, let's say if the car's 20K, there the car might be 30 or 40K. All right. So it's a whole lot more there. So, and the car is already stolen. So pretty much almost everything's profit, because compared to what they're making, they're paying people like me pretty much chump change. I made a pretty good amount of money, but still they were paying us chump change. All right. Compared to what they're making. But when I saw that charge a vehicle or vehicle part with altered vehicle identification number. Now that could mean anything. That could be that they went into the tow yard for some reason or to the tow truck and there was a stolen part in there with an altered number. And then receiving stolen property. Okay? So when you get receiving stolen property, that's when that person is saying, "I didn't know it was stolen. They gave it to me." Or "I bought it," or something like that. Most of the time, when you get that charge, that means you done told on somebody. You told where you got that property from. You said you received it. You didn't steal it. You received it. So most of the times, you told on where you got that from. I've never seen anybody get a charge of receiving stolen property, receiving stolen goods without giving up the person you got it from. You have to, in order to receive that charge. Unless I'm wrong and one of you guys out there got that charge without telling them who you got it from, let me know. But everybody I've seen with that, they've had to tell who they got it from or where they got it from. Now, the interesting thing about this is, I don't know if this is connected. I don't know. But what I do is I look at these things and I'm bringing them to you guys. I let you guys decide. All right. The interesting thing I saw about this was, remember I told you the first victim? The first victim was in November. I believe it was November 23rd. Let me double check that for you. Yeah, so it was November 23rd. Okay. These charges happened the beginning of this year, but it looks like he wasn't going to court until October and then went to court again in December. Um, And the last court data says awaiting pretrial. Now I couldn't see if it's closed or not, or he's still going to court on that. That I could not tell. But it made me just think. I don't know. I was just like, all this stuff happened right after he got the charge. Now the charge might seem small. Like I said, it might not be related. I don't know. But I figure I'll tell you guys everything that I find. Because what I try and do is I try and look at these different angles and these different, narratives that either we're not being told, and I try and find some things. So when I first heard about this, I was like, 3 employees? Nah, something gives. This ain't no turf war. If this is a turf war and they're shooting each other over some cars that they're towing to get an extra $200 to $500 for, they need better jobs and lives, bro.
Our lease. So what we think they're doing is they're having these spotter cars go around, spot what they want, almost like take an inventory, like we'll take that one, we'll take that one, come, hook it up and go.
And now live, that is why they're thinking this might be a sophisticated, organized crime ring here. Investigators trying to figure out where these stolen trucks are going. We just don't know. They're going to chop shops. They're going down to Mexico. Some thinking since we're close to the ports over there that they might be going overseas. All we know at this point, though, is they want to shut it down. They want to find that white, unmarked tow truck. For now, we are live here. Carson.
First of all, if you're working for 448 Towing, you probably need to get a better job right now. You probably need to start looking on LinkedIn and Indeed right now for another job before you're the next victim. I'm going to let you know that right now. But I found it odd. What do you guys think? Do you think this is over a turf war? Do you think there's more to this story? And if you think it's more to the story, let me know below. If you know about this story and you're close to the situation, go ahead. You can contact me. My contact information is always below. You can remain anonymous. I don't tell anybody who gives me information. I don't say your name. I don't do any of that. But receiving stolen goods. Interesting. And were those stolen goods have to do with a VIN number? Was it a car? Because one of those was a felony. So I'm wondering, and not only that, senseless violence going on. It was targeted. All 3 of them were targeted. All 3 of them targeted. We just don't know why. And that's what we need to find out. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you're returning, thank you for returning. You've been helping my channel blow up so much in the last 6-7 months. It's been crazy. I am approaching 20,000 subs, and I've done that all within the last pretty much 7 months. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Fugitive TV, let me know below what you think about this case, and also let me know where you're watching from, city and state. I'm out.